Where's the best place for content on the world of Ice and Fire?
Right over there. See where I am pointing with my dagger? I just found
Sporking News Podcast with me, Sporking. Make sure you like and subscribe.
All right. Hello, everybody. I actually started this early. I think we usually go 7:30 or 8, but hey, it's 7 p.m. here on the East Coast of America. I'm Scott at Sporking News Podcast, and with me right now is the good man of Lord. I was about to say, I was going to call you Lord Stig Stannis, and I screwed that up in my head, but it is
just say a fellow from Norway.
The fellow from Norway, and also the one true king of Westeros, Stig Kenobi.
Yeah, but I don't like to boast about that.
You're very modest. You're very modest. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing quite well. Fall is kicking in hard now. Lots of rain and lots of wind. And I like that. And we can see the stars again at night because no more daylight 24/7.
Oh yeah, you're up there where you have, like, how long is the day in the summer? Is it 20 hours?
Well, no, it's 24, but
like light.
of daylight, yes, but the sun is like just below the horizon.
Oh really? So it's always like dusk.
Yeah, so it's lighter than that actually.
Oh wow.
But it's not direct sunlight 24/7. It's just daylight.
That's crazy. I would love to visit someday. Someday I shall. But we're going to be visiting Marine right now. We're going to be going over Tyrion I. Now, Tyrion I's sample chapter for the Winds of Winter is pretty short.
You know what? If you slash someone, if you gut someone from that area and study their guts and stuff, you'll be a marine biologist.
That could be true. That could be true. So I was I'm looking at Tyrion I, and on one site it says, I guess George read it, so it was like a fan summary, but the site I use really does a really good job with covering pretty much as close as they can. So the only thing that kind of sucks about this is we don't know if this is word for word George. I don't know if he ever actually put it on the Not a Blog after this, because it seems pretty full. But we'll go over it now.
It is old. It's
26.
Probably 10 years old.
Yeah, I would say 8 to 10 years old. Which is crazy.
He read a couple of those in front of an audience. Because I remember him reading I think it was a Victorian one.
He either did that or the Forsaken.
Yeah, it was one of them, but it was talking about the horn.
Oh yeah,
and the guy was boasting he was gonna blow the horn so loudly that the monkeys in the south would shit themselves with fear. Then it was like you can tell he was kind of holding back laughter.
Yeah,
because that's kind of a sick thing to say. It's brilliant.
Yeah, one thing I could say about George positively is I believe he is brilliant. Like when it comes to being like a wordsmith, the guy really does come up with some great shit. And his ability to put something in that you think is minute and then 2 books later was massive, we've come to realize he's up there with the greatest person in my opinion.
He is. But I agree with people that says he's still not qualified until he finishes the story.
No, I'm with you on that. He can't be considered one of the greatest.
Yeah. Tolkien's probably always going to have top spot because he kind of he wasn't the first to write fantasy. He was the one who showed the world what you can do with a fantasy world that's elaborate and all that stuff.
Right. I mean, there's been folk tales and fantasy for a very long time, but he created a complete universe or world of its own. You know,
Technically, Robert E. Howard did it first.
really?
Because he did the Conan stuff,
Yeah.
and that is written as a prehistory slash new mythology for Europe as well, same as Tolkien did.
Oh,
But
I didn't know that.
yeah, but he basically got published in Weird Tales magazine,
Okay.
so it wasn't the books got published after he
Uh,
passed away.
oh, really? After he passed away?
Yeah, he was only 30. He had an
Man.
insane output. He would lock himself inside his house with
Hmm.
a typewriter
Yeah.
for months, and also he'd arm himself because he thought the neighbors were out to get him.
Oh shit. That's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Oh
They
man.
actually did a movie about him, starring Vincent D'Onofrio, who
What?
nailed it.
Oh, well, that dude's a great actor.
Yeah, so it's interesting to watch, but Tolkien got published in you know proper book form while he was alive. So
Hmm. Yeah.
I,
Tolkien.
I think the saying is that Tolkien was the grandfather of modern fantasy,
Hmm.
and Robert E. Howard was the crazy uncle.
That's a perfect
But
way of putting it.
but Howard could write too. Holy crap! He
Yeah.
can paint with words.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I've never read the Conan books, so I don't know, but
They're heavy metal.
yeah.
The original Howard stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
holy crap!
Now, was
And
that the beginning?
uh,
Was that the beginning of the last century? Was it like
they were
pre
written
World
in the
War One?
yeah, they were written in the 1920s and published in the 30s.
Okay, and then
So
Tolkien
he's
wasn't until what, near 40s
well,
when he, right?
no, The Hobbit was late 30s, but then it wasn't intended to be part of Middle Earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be just its own thing. But then when he wrote the Lord of the Rings, he kind of wanted the ring in there, and he used Bilbo's ring, and then he tied them together.
Yeah.
But the Lord of the Rings was 50s. So Howard
Okay,
actually did it first by a few decades.
that's crazy.
But
I never
and
knew that.
it's still ongoing. Conan's still getting new content. It's closing in on 100 years now. So he's
Yeah.
older than Superman.
Yeah, it's sad that no one, like after Christopher Tolkien, like no one had the um character like he did. I mean, the man really respected his father. You could tell by how he handled his work. And
Yeah,
then once he passed
him
away, it was free
him
game.
and Tom Shippey. Tom
Yeah,
Shippey
Tom
wrote
Shippey too. Yep.
books about how basically people should take Tolkien seriously, because
Yeah.
a lot of writers and journalists and stuff, they kind of put fantasy over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like real
Right. Real
literature.
art. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty
So
sad because the man was
yeah,
a genius.
you should ask Teresa a lot about this though, because she knows way more than I do.
And she waved before, so hi, Teresa.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna get into this because it seems like it's just me and you. So last week we read the Barristan sample chapter, his first one, because there's quite a few sample chapters. Barristan and Tyrion both get two. So it seems to be like right as Barristan's ends, that's where Tyrion's picks up. Barristan has them open the gates and they're rushing into the field of battle.
Yeah, imagine that. Barristan didn't die like a pimp in an alley.
Yeah, I know, dude. We were talking about. I was hoping you were on last week because we were talking about that, and I know you have a strong take also.
Yeah, because Barristan is the closest thing to a classic pure hero,
right?
In the story.
Yeah, so-called white knight.
He has no bad traits. He's just good from the core.
Yeah, the only thing that any person that ever puts him down is him.
Yeah.
He's the only one who feels like he betrayed the Targaryens by going and serving Robert. You know, in his mind, he was doing his duty, but you know, the Kingsguard is a weird thing because yes, he is like the most honorable guy, but he also sat by, and because he was taught this by his Lord Commander, allowed, you know, the Mad King to rape his wife and beat her and bite her and scratch her. And then the things that happened between Robert and Cersei, you know, and Cersei, you know, he might even had a inkling about Cersei and Jaime. You never know.
It actually mirrors Jaime.
Yeah.
Because Jaime actually did something about it.
Yeah.
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 And Barristan didn't. So, and Jaime's the one who gets bashed for breaking his oath.
Right.
While the greater damage was arguably done by Barristan.
Yes.
Who didn't break his oath.
Exactly. And I think that's what George is trying to show us. Like everyone who thinks, you know, Barristan is the most honorable guy. Well, he is in a sense honorable to the vow he took, but as a human being, Jaime is actually the more honorable person that takes on this character of the Kingslayer. You know, he plays it up, but what he did was save 1 million people. And Barristan would have sat by and allowed him to set. I mean, the idea that people, you know, he was going to set fire to the city. I can't remember, but I believe it was just him and Jaime in the throne room. Correct? There was no one else there.
It's also a commentary on how you know, really bad things happen because good people do nothing.
Right. Right.
And sometimes, you know, you need someone who's not good to get the job done.
Right. The thing was Jaime, I mean, he was young then. He was not bad. You know, like he was, that character was created because of Ned Stark. Ned is the one that assumed, without even asking Jaime what happened, that, you know, he just decided to kill his king to save his own ass.
The only really bad thing Jaime has done is shove Bran out the window
and bang his sister.
Yeah, but he's not doing it for evil.
No. Yeah, the Bran thing that we know of. Yeah, the Bran thing is.
Yeah. Other than that, he's
worst.
Actually one of the few people that don't hardly ever lies.
Right. And I mean, his, you know, the show had his redemption and then his fall, but I don't know what George plans on doing with him, but the redemption, if he does do that, it's going to be even a harder fall, because the idea of him slowly becoming this honorable guy, the way he handles himself at River Run, and is that in a Game of Thrones, or is that Dance with Dragons?
He basically makes some threats, makes some promises.
Right.
Doesn't break any of them.
Nope.
You know, he's actually being quite skilled at diplomacy. In those chapters, but
all the while being disrespected by the Blackfish.
Yeah. It would have been interesting if what's her name? Is it Jane Poole?
Yeah.
That maybe has Rob's baby.
Yep.
In her belly. It would be
no, not Jane Poole.
Jane Westerling.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
Jaime got control.
They're both in the same area now.
Yeah, I believe they're with. Aren't they? Is in her family?
Stoneheart's right there. So
yeah.
What if?
Oh man!
What if Jaime redeems himself by sacrificing himself to save Robb Stark's baby?
Yeah,
that would have a nice little circle for him.
Protecting the girl, so that Stoneheart can crown him.
Yeah, and Jaime has been protecting girls all through the series.
Yes,
he protected Cersei.
Yep.
Brienne.
Yep. You know, if you look at the brothers, they both have that classic defending the damsel. You know, you have Tyrion protecting Sansa, and then protecting Penny to a point. I think he might have killed her. You know, Shay to a point, that's the difference. Tyrion will actually act on his anger because he's being betrayed again and again and again. Jaime will, no matter how much Cersei betrays him and disrespects him, he always is defending her. Brienne never treats him right at the beginning.
Until book 5.
Right.
That's when he tosses the letter. Says, screw it.
Yeah, he doesn't respond. That's the first time ever, because he finds something good in Brienne.
It also struck me if they actually are Targaryens, half Targaryens, which is a possibility.
Yeah, them or Tyrion.
Yeah, and then you have that flip a coin. Which one of the twins goes crazy, and it's Cersei isn't Jaime.
Right.
Looks to be Cersei is in free fall.
Yeah, she is.
She is getting more nuts per chapter.
And she thinks she's in control. That's the crazy part. Yeah. She's being played by everybody.
She is 100% reactive.
Yep. I forget the girl's name that becomes her friend, but she's most likely an agent of Dorne, correct?
Yeah, it looks like it.
I feel like Dorne has a lot of people in there, a lot of hands in the cookie jar. But right now we're with Tyrion, and he is outside of the walls of Meereen, forcibly being a part of a sellsword company, the Second Sons. So I'll read a little bit and we'll stop and discuss. Somewhere off in the far distance, a dying man was screaming for his mother. To horse, a man was yelling in Giscari, in the next camp to the north of the Second Sons. To horse, to horse. High and shrill, his voice carried a long way in the morning air, far beyond his own encampment. Tyrion knew just enough Giscari to understand the words, but the fear in his voice would have been plain in any tongue. I know how he feels. It was time to find his own horse, he knew. Time to don some dead boy's armor, buckle on a sword and a dagger, slip his dented great helm down over his head. Dawn had broken, and a sliver of the rising sun was visible behind the city's walls and towers, blindingly bright. To the west, the stars were fading, one by one. Trumpets were blowing along the Skahazadon, war horns answering from the walls of Meereen. A ship was sinking in the river mouth afire. Dead men and dragons were moving through the sky, whilst warships crashed and clashed on Slaver's Bay. Tyrion could not see them from here, but he could hear the sounds, the crash of hull against hull as ships slammed together, the deep-throated war horns of the Ironborn and queer high whistles of Karth, the splintering of oars, the shouts and battle cries, the crash of axe on armor, sword on shield, all mingled with the shrieks of wounded men. Many of the ships were still far out in the bay, so the sounds they made seemed faint and far away, but he knew them all the same, the music of slaughter. I forgot that I believe, there must be a second, I don't know if there's a second Vitterion or just the one, but I think that comes in between this and Barristan, because he's already knowing the Ironborn are there.
Hey, Martin said the Winterfell battle and this battle would be at the very beginning of the book. It's going to resolve both of them right away.
Well, he's going to have to.
I'm thinking if it's going to do like a Tyrion and then Barristan and just switch between the two during the battle, so you get both sides, because that would be cool, wouldn't it?
I think it would actually then be Tyrion, Barristan, Victarion, the three of them kind of, until somebody gets into somebody else's story, which would be kind of cool, where they all kind of just meet up and whose head are we going to be in to listen to that. It's just the way he, this is, again, I don't know if this is someone who heard it and then wrote it down. It sounds a lot like how George writes, so I'm guessing, they got it dang close.
I don't think Victarion is going to die, because he just got that new arm, the hand.
Yeah.
The really cool one.
Yep.
So and that was right at the end of book 5. So I don't think he's going to give him that cool hand and just kill him off right away.
Yeah. Do you think that cool hand might pull like a weird, like might end up being the thing that kills him? Like, it's not under his control.
What if it kills Cersei?
Oh, he is a younger brother.
Yep.
He is a younger brother.
But it says hands in the prophecy.
Yeah, it does say hands. What's up, Cam Cam? Let me just say hi to a couple people. Cam Cam's here, and the lovely Jane Theory. The lovely Sherry is here. Sonny Frank is here. Grant is laying in bed croaking, and Miss Martin Muses is up in the house. He's got grayscale.
Yeah, they're always suppressed in Australia.
Yeah, it's sexually transmitted grayscale. Yeah, not a lot yet to talk about in here. Just Tyrion realizing I better get suited up and ready to go because war is upon me.
Yeah, Martin sets the stage really well here, though.
Yeah, he does.
It's
paints the picture.
Actually, kind of Robert E. Howard-ish. That's how he writes.
What I do love is that out of all the warriors, we get to see Tyrion in, a couple battles, from his point of view. I know the one he gets knocked out, his first battle, but Tyrion is not afraid, for being a little guy, he's not afraid to throw down. With the Mountain Men, he fought with them, against them when they were walking, he was a prisoner. When his father was going against the North and the Boltons were keeping their men back, he gets knocked out. Now we're going to see him in this battle. Tyrion's point of view and the way George, like that sarcastic, like flippant way of, trying not to show fear through being like joking through it. I love how that's written.
I noticed something in all through the 5 books that I recently reread. You know how they call Tyrion a gargoyle?
Yep.
And they also call him an imp and a demon monkey?
Yes.
Gargoyles look like imps and demon monkeys.
Yes.
Quite often. And he might have grayscale, which will turn him stone-like.
Well, he did fall in the water.
Yeah, and gargoyles protect cities and castles.
Yes.
So when Tyrion was in King's Landing, it didn't fall. And he is effectively being used as a gargoyle, like a protective thing. So if Tyrion was protecting Marine wouldn't fall for some odd reason, because well,
he is in a way protecting Marine, because we'll see through this and maybe the next one where he's trying to make sure his sellsword company flips to Dany's side.
Yeah, and gargoyles don't tend to have noses; they have snouts,
right?
Which is basically
almost bat, like bat noses,
which is what Tyrion's starting to look like.
Yeah.
And I also noticed in I think it was in one of the Theon chapters, I think, where he made a note of how the gargoyles in Winterfell are crumbling.
Yes.
That's a hint that it's going to fall, but they were crumbling, they weren't gone.
Right.
So maybe they take
So it's one of those things, they're going to take a really hard hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I'm telling, like we said before, George, sometimes even just his descriptions are telling you something way down the line. And I love it.
Yeah. And he's been doing stuff with Jon Snow too.
Yeah.
Black-hearted bastard and stuff like that. I think something dark is going to go into Jon Snow.
Yep. I hope so.
Raised.
I hope so. I hope he comes back, not like the one in the show where it was like he was different for like a half a second.
Just cut his hair and that'll raise him from the dead.
Yep. John's been bleeding for 13 years now, so I think it's 13 now. 2011, July 12th, 2011. Hey, what's up, little buddy? Tyrion is giving us a great view of what's happening here. So here we go. 300 yards. And what I do like is we know what's now going on in the water, off in the distance. He's letting us hear everything. So 300 yards from where he stood rose the wicked sister, her long arms swinging up with a clutch of corpses. Shuck thump. And there they flew, naked and swollen, pale dead birds tumbling boneless through the air. The siege camp shimmered in a gaudy haze of rose and gold. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Yeah, buddy, you shouldn't really be here. Dad's reading about crazy stuff. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I'm going to mute for a second. Just talk about anything you want to talk about for a minute. I apologize.
Yeah. Say hello to the chat. Tina's in there. Taylor Swift is greater than Disney, Star Wars, and the MC. Well, that doesn't take too much, does it? Yeah, Brian, 13 years bleeding. John must be a woman. Oh, that's sexist, sir. But, guys can have periods now, so apparently. The Jinja Ninjas thinks Scott has a sexy voice. It's very sexy. It has a sultry voice. The MM is clapping. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. People greeting each other, waving. Jan Theory is saying Dorn is always plotting and never winning. Yeah, they're very good at getting a draw.
Father of the year here, reading about swollen dead corpses and his 3-year-old sitting behind him. Woohoo!
Just say that it's like broken action figures. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jinja Ninja. I do care that my voice is sexy. All right, back to swollen corpses. They flew. The siege camp shimmered in a gaudy haze of rose and gold, but the famous step pyramids of Marine hulked black against the glare. Something was moving atop one of them. He saw a dragon, but which one? At this distance, it could as easily have been an eagle, a very big eagle. After days spent hidden inside musty tents of the Second Sons, the outside air smelled fresh and clear. Though he could not see the bay from where he stood, the tang of salt told him it was near. Tyrion filled his lungs with it, a fine day for a battle. From the east, the sounds of drumming rolled across the parched plain. A column of mounted men flashed past the Herodon, flying the blue banners of the windblown. A younger man. Oh, yeah, go ahead. You were going to say something?
Oh, you know what's kind of funny?
Mm-hmm.
If you had told a kid, 10 years ago that no, you can't read this book, right? You're not old enough.
Yeah.
Then when book 6 comes out, he will be.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, the baby will be ready for the winds of winter. That's right. Right. By the time it may ever come out, he'll be like 20. That's pretty sad. A younger man might have found it all exhilarating. A stupider man might have thought it grand and glorious, right up to the moment when some arse, ugly, younkish slave soldier, with rings in his nipples, planted an axe between his eyes. Tyrion Lannister knew better. The gods did not fashion me to wield a sword, he thought. So why do they keep putting me in the midst of battles? No one heard, no one answered, no one cared. But that is a good question. Why does he always end up in the middle of some massive battle?
He has actually been in the most battles, I think, out of all the characters.
I mean, at least that we've seen.
All the main characters anyway, yeah.
That are still alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Boltons and people like that were in skirmishes and maybe 2 or 3 major battles. But
yeah, but we never saw them.
Right. Tyrion's the only one that's actually, had to kill men himself as a commander. Robb did, but Robb ended up dead.
This is the second major battle in the whole series. And Tyrion's been in the middle of both of them.
Let me think. like, yeah, I guess standing face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the Whispering Woods was a battle, but it was more of like also it was an ambush. It was a
Well,
setup ambush type thing.
I guess the wall
Oh
would
yeah,
count as a big one.
with the wildlings.
Yeah. But that's the only battle that
Right.
Snow was in.
Right. And he was on the other side of the wall. Like what a battle is that? Um, if it wasn't for Stannis. Yeah, that was a great battle actually. But I do like how he does say this, why are the gods doing this to me? And I wonder if there is somebody or something that keeps pushing his, Tyrion to these places, having things get set up so that Tyrion will see these battles, will
Wow.
realize that war isn't like the first answer. He won't be like ready just to let people die because he's been in these battles.
The one who has been pulling the strings to get him seemingly to those battles is Varys.
Yeah, I agree with
And
you on that.
If my egg is Varys theory is correct, then
Which
Varys
will,
is
yep,
possibly a green seer.
yep, or a dragon dreamer, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
I think if you're, not tired because our time difference is huge, but next week I would love to go over that. So that'll be a last minute decision on your part, but your egg theories are just getting stronger from the stuff you're finding.
Yes, it's and if you read the World of Ice and Fire, the Summerhold thing is there's a lot of stuff missing.
Yeah.
So we
Oh,
don't
God,
know
yeah.
what happened. We don't know what happened to Egg.
Right.
We know that Dunk likely died.
Yes. And that
saving Egg with his foot,
with his,
because that
with
was
his
even
foot.
foreshadowed in the Dunk and Egg book.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would leave Egg's death a mystery like that.
Right.
Because he's obviously hiding what happened to him.
Yeah. I mean,
but so it's not like Egg. We're going to find out later that Egg died down the road.
Right.
He's alive.
We're here to assume that he's dead. The only thing that would make that difficult is how quickly Varys came into the picture after Summerhall, and how much, because physically Egg would have to change. He would have to gain some weight, but Egg disguised himself, in his youth quite a bit as just a normal, squire. So he may have learned tricks to make himself look different. I love the theory. I don't know if it's right, but it is all there,
The fact that Martin even writes the Dunk and Egg stories is because Egg is important.
Right.
He wouldn't just pick some random people that's not really tied to anything.
Yeah. All right, let's read a little bit more. Tyrion found himself thinking back on his first battle. Shay had been the first to stir, woken by his father's trumpets. The sweet strumpet who'd pleasured him for half the night had trembled naked in his arms, a frightened child. Or was all that a lie as well? A ploy she used to make me feel brave and brilliant. What a mummer she might have been. When Tyrion had shouted out for Podrick Payne to help him with his armor, he'd found the boy asleep and snoring. Not the quickest lad I have ever known, but a decent squire in the end. I hope he found a better man to serve. Yeah, she definitely, who found her? It was Bronn.
Yeah, and Bronn said he took her from some person, and then right after, Shay has a completely different story.
Right. And he makes it like he took her from one of the higher, even like a greater knight, maybe even a lord.
And she said it was from a lord or something.
Yeah. Now, do you buy into that Bronn is an agent of somebody else? Like, what was he doing it was almost like perfect that he was in the Vale.
He was. I think he was in cahoots with Shay.
Yeah, but who would
To
be? And you think Shay was already in cahoots? So were they working for Tywin or somebody else?
No, I think Dorne and Varys.
Okay.
That's what I think. But um I think Braun did what he was sent to do, and now he's out of the picture in a way.
Yeah, and you also could tell he feels a bit of, for someone who is a sellsword and doesn't usually care, he does seem remorseful. When Tyrion gets arrested, he does get like all these um, you know, jump up in status, but he never kind of like sells him out completely like Shay does.
No,
So I don't know.
but
I don't know if he's going to come back into the picture at some point.
given that they both, Braun found Shay,
Mm-hmm.
and then they both told Tyrion different versions of what happened 5 minutes
Right.
ago.
Right. Something's up with that. Yeah, I like when Jane goes, it's weird when how characters will call their lovers children. Yeah, that is kind of freaky. That is kind of freaky. All right, so we move on. It was queer, but Tyrion remembered the Green Fork much better than the Blackwater. It was my first. You never forget your first. He remembered the fog drifting off the river, wending through the reeds like pale white fingers. And the beauty of that sunrise. He remembered that as well. Stars strewn across a purple sky, the grass glittering like glass with the morning dew, red splendor in the east. He remembered the touch of Shay's fingers as she helped Pod with Tyrion's mismatched armor, that bloody helm, like a bucket with a spike. That spike had saved him, though, had won him his first victory. But Grot and Penny had never looked half as silly as he must have looked that day. Shay had called him fearsome when she saw him in his steel, mind you. How could I have been so blind, so deaf, so stupid? I should have known better than to do my thinking with my cock. The second sons were saddling their horses. They went about it calmly, hurriedly, efficiently. It was nothing they had not done 100 times before. A few of them were passing a skin from hand to hand, though whether it was wine or water he could not say. Bakoko was kissing his lover shamelessly, kneading the boy's buttocks with one huge hand, the other
P.
tangled
Diddy.
in.
P.
Yeah,
Diddy
right.
cameo.
Exactly. Who did it? The other tangled in his hair. Behind them, Sir Garibald was brushing out the mane of his big gelding. Kem sat on a rock gazing at the ground, remembering his dead brother, perhaps, or dreaming of that friend back in King's Landing. Hammer and nail moved from man to man, checking spears and swords, adjusting armor, putting an edge on any blade that needed it. Snatch chewed his sour leaf, making jabs and scratching at his balls with his hooked hand. Something about his manner reminded Tyrion of Bronn. Sir Bronn of the Blackwater now, unless my sisters killed him. That might not be quite so simple as she thinks. He wondered how many battles the second sons had fought, how many skirmishes had many raids, how many cities have they stormed, how many brothers have they buried or left behind to rot. Compared to them, Tyrion was a green boy, still untested, though he had counted more years than half the company. One more will go. This would be his third battle. Seasoned and bloodied, stamped and sealed, a proven warrior, that's me. I've killed some men and I wounded others, taken wounds myself and lived to tell of them. I've lead charges, heard men scream my name, cut down bigger men and better, even had a few small tastes of glory. And wasn't that a fine, rich wine for heroes? And wouldn't I like another taste? Yet with all he'd done and all he'd seen, the prospect of another battle made his blood run cold. He had traveled across half the world by way of Palanquin, pole boat, and pig, sailed in slave ships and trading galleys, mounted whores and horses, all the time telling himself that he did not care whether he lived or died, only to find that he cared quite a lot after all.
I
So
hope
we're
he
like,
didn't mount them the same way.
yeah, I was just about to say something like that. I hope the order was he didn't ride the we'll rape the horses and ride off on the women. What is a plethora? Hefe? Sorry. Yeah, Tyrion, I mean, George is just giving us like pre-game of what is going on all around him, but yet letting us know what Tyrion is focused on. And it's the past that he left behind. Braun, Shay, these battles.
I actually saw George Martin talk about the Winds of Winter, and he said the chapters he had the most trouble with
Mm-hmm.
was all of a sudden the Tyrion chapters,
And I wonder
because
why.
Tyrion is not cheerful anymore like he used to be. So
Right.
he couldn't do all the the funny one-liners and stuff, because he's not in that. He's like in a dark place. So it's a new character, new version.
Right.
So he said that was the chapters he had trouble with. It was Tyrion.
I could see that. He said he felt like he was a bit Sam and Tyrion. Like if any character was a lot like him, it would be those two. Like him putting himself into the story. Sam is a definite, and then Tyrion is like his quick wit and like the way he can, use words to get him, get himself out of trouble, I guess. But now this is like the dark side of Tyrion. So like, it must be hard when George is riding that massive cash cow.
And George Martin's actually quite cheerful when you see interviews with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's way more cheerful than most writers.
Oh yeah, the guy is loving life right now. I mean, if you really think about it, almost 20 years of just riding this awesome wave. He must be loving it. When did the show come out? 2010, 2009, somewhere around there?
I thought it was 20. I think it was 2010.
Yeah, because I know the first season definitely came out before.
No, it was the year book 5 came out.
I thought it was the year before. Okay. All right. Yeah, it definitely was, because I remember watching the first season, and then I was waiting for book 5 to come out, because in my stupid head I'm like, oh man, this is gonna make them, finish the books even quicker. What an idiot. But yeah, just getting back to this, I mean, the idea that he's going through kind of reminiscing about war and realizing, all the times he pretty much told people he doesn't give a crap if he's alive or dead. I mean, since he was shipped over in a box to Essos, he's pretty much been ready to just die. He realizes in the midst of going into another battle, he really does want to live. And I wonder if this is that pivotal point that changes him to want to serve a better person. And that's how he and Danny may hook up. I do love that the dragons are flying over, and people are already dying, and they're still just calmly getting ready for battle. Because at this moment, I mean, Barristan has ridden out and is attacking the trebuchets.
What if a dragon lands right in front of Tyrion and it doesn't attack him?
I mean, it takes 3 heads, right? 3 heads.
Yeah.
It could be.
Here's the thing. Varys kept saying that, even a small man can cast a large shadow. Him sitting on a dragon would be a large shadow.
Yes, it would.
And
yes,
Varys might have seen that in his little green sight thing.
Well, and that's another way of reading something George said and just thinking, meaning like a little man can really change the world. That's something George would do. He would twist that. So we'd all assume he meant one thing when it is the shadow of a dragon he's talking about.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Okay, so it was 2011. So that was okay. So it came out June, I think, or no, it came out in April, I want to say, and the book came out near Christmas. All right.
I thought the book came up during summer. You're muted.
That was weird. July 12th. Yeah, you're right. So the book was July 12th.
Yeah, because I remember reading book 5 when I think the show was on while I was reading it, or it had season 1
just
just
finished.
ended.
Yeah, because the show started in April, and then it ended by the beginning or mid-June. So, and then the book came out. That had to happen because I remember reading it after the first season was done.
Yeah.
All right, where are we? Here we go. The stranger had mounted his pale mare and was riding toward them with his sword in hand, but Tyrion Lannister did not care to meet with him again. Not now, not yet, not this day. What a fraud you are, imp. You let 100 guardsmen grape your wife, shot your father through the belly with a quarrel, twisted a golden chain around your lover's throat until her face turned black, yet somehow you still think that you deserve to live. Penny was already in her armor when Tyrion slipped back inside the tent they shared. She had been strapping herself into wooden plate for years in service to her mummery. Real plate and mail were not so different once you mastered all the clasps and buckles. And if the company's steel was dented here and rusted there, scratched and stained and discolored, no matter, it should still be good enough to stop a sword. The only piece she had not donned was her helm. When he entered, she looked up. You're not armored? What's happening? The usual things, mud and blood and heroism, killing and dying. There's one battle being fought out on the bay, another one beneath the city walls. Whichever way the Yunkish turn, they have a foe behind them. The closest fighting's a good league off still, but we'll be in it soon. On one side or the other. The second sons were ripe for another change of masters. Tyrion was almost certain of that, though there was a great abyss between certain and almost certain. If I have misjudged my man, all of us are lost. Put on your helm and make sure the clasps are closed. I took mints off once to keep from drowning. I took mine off once to keep from drowning, and it cost me a nose. Tyrion picked at his scar. We need to get you into your armor first. If you wish, the jerkin first, the boiled leather with the iron studs. Ring mail over that, then the gorget. He glanced about the tent. Is there wine? No. We had half a flagon left from supper, a quarter of a flagon, and you drank it. He sighed. I would sell my sister for a cup of wine. You would sell your sister for a cup of horse piss. That was so unexpected that it made him laugh out loud. Is my taste for horse piss so well known, or have you met my sister? I only saw her that one time when we jousted for the Boy King. Groat thought she was beautiful. Groat was a stunned little lip spittled with a stupid name. Only a fool rides into battle sober. Plum will have some wine. What if he dies in the battle? It would be a crime to waste it. Hold your tongue. I need to lace this jerkin up. Tyrion did try, but it seemed to him that the sounds of slaughter were growing louder and his tongue would not be held. Pudding Face wants to use the company to throw the Ironman back into the sea, he heard himself telling Penny as she dressed him. What he should have done was send all his horses at the eunuchs, full charge, before they got 10 feet from their gates. Send the cats at them from the left, us and the windblown from the right. rip apart their flanks from both ends. Man to man, the Unsullied are no better or worse than any other spearmen. It's the discipline that makes them dangerous. But if they cannot form up into a spear wall, okay. So we read Barristan last, and Barristan was implying like he needed to give the eunuchs, the Unsullied, enough time to set up outside the gate to create a shield wall so that they didn't have to, what I'm assuming was, didn't have to close the gate. So when they rode out, they can hit, turn around, come back, the Unsullied would part, close up. So this shows you Tyrion's mind for warfare. He's a strategist, man.
Yeah, in book 5, he was playing that strategy game
right
quite often, and he was wiping the floor with everyone.
Right. Yeah. Young Griff got all pissed off and knocked it over and then came back and apologized. But I thought that was a foreshadowing of what's going to happen with young Griff against a Tyrion-led Dany force. Like it's Cybas, is it, or something like that? Tyrion just, was able to see that the kid was aggressive and, move his pieces accordingly. And here he shows you again, like if he was in charge of the battlefield, the Unsullied would never have been able to link up, and they probably would have just been rode over and just dismantled, and the war would be over. But because there's so many different groups, you have Yunkai with slave warriors, Karth and their ships, other slaver-based cities. No one is cohesive enough to realize what needs to be done.
And Tyrion's probably picturing the whole thing as the game board.
Yeah. I mean, everything to him is pieces. So in his head, he just plays the game the way it's dealt. I find that really interesting how, we saw that in the last chapter we read last week, and now we see that Tyrion would have countered Barristan right away and probably ended the battle so quick. But he wants to switch sides. He is praying that what he said in book 5, or whenever we last saw him.
Wouldn't it be interesting if Tyrion kind of becomes Daenerys' general?
Well, I'm thinking something of that.
Yeah, and he leads the attack on King's Landing.
Yeah.
Because he has a hell of a lot of knowledge about how that place can be defended.
Yeah, exactly. And he knows that maybe close to most, like Varys, people like that, like different entrances. I mean, he knew how to get through a tunnel to get to the whorehouse. He knew he would probably be able to get in there pretty damn good.
Plus, Tyrion has he probably wants revenge on King's Landing after due to what happened in that trial.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Because he spat some venom at them.
Oh yeah, he wanted them all dead.
Yep.
And it would be funny that he would be fighting young Griff or Aegon, because I feel like Aegon will take King's Landing before Dany lands. And he did exactly what Tyrion told him to do, which is you can't go to Dany without, having something already. So young Griff attacks, Westeros earlier than he was supposed to. He was supposed to first meet Dany and get married, he thought, and then they can go. No, he listened to Tyrion, changed all their plans, and wouldn't it be poetic if his downfall is Tyrion with Dany with Tyrion leading the army? I feel like that's what George is setting up. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Gen X, Jennifer. I'm also Gen X, Scott.
And me too.
Yeah, there we go.
Barely.
Oh, hold on one second. I have a crying child. What's...
That one man shows saying.
Yeah, I apologize to keep you here. We'll have a short ad.
Where's the best place for content on the world of Ice and Fire?
Right over there. See where I am pointing with my dagger? I just found
Sporking News Podcast with me, Sporking. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Oh. Hold on one more second. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. You got to go upstairs, though. Thank you, everyone, for waiting. I apologize.
And Tina's saying Gen Xers rock.
Yes, they do.
Well,
Sorry about that. Someone got in trouble upstairs. Came down crying. Yeah, children are darling until they're not. You're right. Yeah. Words. All right, back to it. So he ends with, cannot form up into a spear wall. Lift your arms, said Penny. There's that's better. Maybe you should command the Yunkishmen. They use slave soldiers. Why not slave commanders? That would ruin the contest, though. This is just a Sivast, I think that's how it's pronounced, game to the wise masters. Savast, yeah. To the wise masters. Where's the pieces? Tyrion canted his head to one side, considering. They have that in common with my lord father, these slavers. Your father? What do you mean? I was just recalling my first battle, the Green Fork. We fought between a river and a road. When I saw my father's host deploy, I remember thinking how beautiful it was, like a flower opening its petals to the sun, a crimson rose with iron thorns. And my father, he had never looked so resplendent. He wore crimson armor with this huge great cloak made of cloth of gold, a pair of golden lions on his shoulders, and another on his helm. His stallion was magnificent. His lordship watched the whole battle from atop that horse and never got within 100 yards of any foe. He never moved, never smiled, never broke a sweat, whilst thousands died below him. Picture me perched on a camp stool, gazing down upon a Sivast board. We could almost be twins. If I had a horse, some crimson armor, and a great cloak sewn from cloth of gold. He was taller, too. I have more hair. Penny kissed him. She moved so fast that he had no time to think. She darted in, quick as a bird, and pressed her lips to his. Just as quickly, it was over. What was that for? He almost said, but he knew what it was for. Thank you, he might have said, but she might take that as leave to do it again. Child, I have no wish to hurt you. He could have tried, but Penny was no child, and his wishes would not blunt the cut. For the first time for longer than he cared to think, Tyrion Lannister was at a loss for words. She looked so young, he thought. A girl, that's all she is, a girl. And almost pretty if you can forget that she's a dwarf. Her hair was a warm brown, thick and curly, and her eyes were large and trusting, too trusting. Do you hear that sound? Said Tyrion. She listened. What is it? What is it? He said as she was strapping a pair of mismatched greaves onto his studded legs. War. On either side of us and not a league away. That's slaughter, Penny. That's men stumbling through the mud with their entrails hanging out. That's severed limbs and broken bones and pools of blood. You know how the worms come out after a hard rain? I hear they do the same after a big battle if enough blood soaks into the ground. That's the stranger coming, Penny. The black goat, the pale child, him of many faces. Call him what you will. That's death. I like how he brings up all different gods. Him of many faces. So that's kind of what the faceless men kind of pray to. You know, they have their upstairs is like a chapel to all these different gods because they're all to them a version of the god of death.
Well, the pale child, the children of the forest with the faces in the weirwood trees.
Yep.
Maybe a little.
Yeah. Telling you a little something. So he goes on. You're scaring me. Am I? Good. You should be scared. We have Ironborn swarming ashore and Sir Barristan and his Unsullied pouring out of the city gates, with us between them, fighting on the wrong bloody side. I am terrified myself. You say that, but you still make jabs.
Here's
Jabs
a
are one.
question, though.
Yeah, please.
When did Tyrion find out that Sir Barristan is in there?
Oh,
When did
Tyrion he knows that. Well, Sir Barristan donned his white cloak. Yeah, maybe. I mean, he might know that he's
'Cause that's
from.
quite a stretch because they're halfway across the world.
Was Tyrion still in King's Landing though when news got back that Dany Barristan
No.
has swapped to her side? I can't remember.
Unless Illyrio said something. Because he's the one who
Maybe.
sent Barristan, but
I can't remember. Because he goes over and meets Dany in book 2, right? Or no, book 3.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's after Drogo dies.
And Barristan
After
is using a
Karth.
pseudonym anyway.
Yeah, for the first half of the book, yeah. But don't forget that even though he's not giving him any, like, helping him as much, Varys has people like Mormont over there probably sending back information. And I believe Tyrion was still in King's Landing when that happened. Half-sister? Who's half-sister? You think Penny's his half-sister? That'd be crazy. Yeah, I don't know. That is a good question. How would he know? But I think maybe I want to say he was still in King's Landing.
Maybe Connington told them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Because do they even know before Joffrey dies? No.
No.
And how would Connington know? Someone has to tell him. He has to find news somewhere from leaving. I mean, he has to, because how else would he know?
Because it's not really common knowledge, that one.
No. I mean, the second sons were on Dany's side, though, for quite a bit. So that might be how he found out.
That's probably the likely thing.
Whoa, wait a minute. Penny is his daughter. How is Tysha was his first wife, right?
Yeah.
It's his half sister. Oh, Jen, give me more, please. Feel free to write as much as you want. I want to hear that one.
That would be messed up.
Oh, that'd be crazy. That's why.
But insane odds though.
Can you imagine that Tywin knew that, and that's why he got so pissed, but then did that to his own daughter? Like all the soldiers, and then Tyrion last. Oh, what a scumbag. Joanna Lannister had an affair with Stefan Baratheon. Where do you get a hint of that? I know they were close. Stefan is Robert's father, right?
Yeah.
Who dies. Yeah, okay. Yeah, keep going, Jen. I'm listening. You're brave, little people. You're brave. Little people can be brave. My giant of Lannister, he heard. She is mocking me. He almost slapped her again. His head was pounding. I never meant to make you angry, Penny said. Forgive me. I'm frightened, is all. She touched his hand. Tyrion wrenched away from her. I'm frightened. Those were the same words Shay had used. Her eyes were big as eggs, and I swallowed every bit of it. I knew what she was. I told Bronn to find a woman for me, and he brought me Shay. His hands curled into a fist, and Shay's face swam before him, grinning. Then the chain was tightening around about her throat, the golden hands digging deep into her flesh, and her own hand fluttered against his face with all the force of butterflies. If he had a chain to hand, if he had a crossbow, a dagger, anything, he might have. It was only then that Tyrion heard the shouts. He was lost in a black rage, drowning in a sea of memory, but the shouting brought the world back in a rush. He opened his hands, took a breath, turned away from Penny. Something's happening. He went outside to discover what it was. Dragons. The green beast was circling above the bay, banking and turning as longships and galleys clashed and burned below him. But it was the white dragon the sellswords were gawking at. 300 yards away, the wicked sister swung her arm. Chunk thump, and 6 fresh corpses went dancing through the sky. Up they rose and up, then 2 burst into flames. The dragon caught one burning body just as it began to fall, crunching it between his jaws as pale fires ran across his teeth. White wings cracked against the morning air, and the beast began to climb again. The second corpse caromed off an outstretched claw and plunged straight down to land amongst some younkish horsemen. Some of them caught fire too. One horse reared up and threw his rider. The other ran, trying to outrace the flames and fanning them instead. Tyrion Lannister could almost taste the panic as it rippled across the camps. The sharp, familiar scent of urine filled the air. The dwarf glanced about and was relieved to see that it was Inkpots who had pissed himself, not him. You had best go change your breeches, Tyrion told him, and whilst you are about it, turn your cloak. The paymaster blanched but did not move. He was still standing there, staring as the dragon snatched corpses from the air. When the messenger came pounding up, a bloody officer, Tyrion saw it at once. He was clad in gold armor and mounted on a golden horse. Loudly he announced that he had come from the supreme commander of the Yunkai, the noble and puissant Gorhas Zoeras. Lord Gorhas sends his compliments to Captain Plum and requests that he brings his company to the bay shore. Our ships are under attack. Your ships are sinking, burning, fleeing, thought Tyrion. Your ships are being taken, your men put to sword. He was a Lannister of Castle Rock, close by the Iron Islands. Ironborn reavers were no stranger to their shores. Over the centuries, they had burned Lannisport at least thrice and raided it 24 times. Westermen knew what savagery the Ironborn were capable of. These slavers were just learning. Captain's not here just now, Inkpots told the messenger. He's gone to see the girl general. The rider pointed at the sun. Lady Malaz's command ended with the rise of the sun. Do as Lord Gorhask instructs you. Attack the squid ships, you mean? The ones out there in the water? The paymaster frowned. I don't see how, myself, but when Brown Ben gets back, I'll tell him what your Gorhas wants. I gave you a command. You will act upon it now. We take commands from our captain, Inkpots said in his usual mild tone. He's not here. I told you. The messenger had lost his patience. Tyrion could see. Battle is joined. Your commander should be with you. Might be, but he's not. The girl sent for him. He went. The messenger went purple. You must carry out your orders. Snatch spat a wad of well-chewed sour leaf out of his left side of his mouth. Begging your pardon, he told the younkish rider, but we're all horsemen here, same as me lord. Now, a good trained war horse, he'll charge a wall of spears. Some will leap a fire ditch, but I've never once seen any horse could run on water. The ships are landing, men, screamed the younkish lordling. They're blocked by the mouth of the Shahakazdar with a fire ship. And every moment you stand here talking, another 100 swords come splashing through the shallows. Assemble your men and drive them back into the sea at once. Gorhask commands it. Which one is Gorhask? Asked Kem. Is he the rabbit? Pudding face, said Inkpots. The rabbit's not fool enough to send light horses against longships. The rider had heard enough. I shall inform Gorhas Zoeras that you refuse to carry out his orders. He said stiffly. Then he wheeled his golden horse around and galloped back the way he came, chased by a gale of sellsword laughter. So anyone that doesn't know what's going on here, the Yunkai and their allies that are attacking Marine, they have I think 3 different generals, and every 24 hours, they switch who's in command. So, you had the girl general in command until whatever, the sun rose. And now it's this Gorhas. So, like, the stupid thing they do is they don't have one commander that is in charge of the battle every day. It is, it changes like if you have one good general, you'll see him every 3 days. It's one of the stupid things they do.
The only thing they gain from it is probably that they're unpredictable.
Yeah.
But it is cool that they have that tradition because it makes them stand apart a bit in terms of a society and all that. So it is good lore, I guess.
And it's worked for them in the past.
Yeah,
so it's not like
due to sheer numbers.
Yeah, it's just they probably overwhelm people. But now you're fighting someone that is not probably fighting in the style they're used to because Barristan Salmi is from Westeros. So he is the only one in command, and that's something they just don't know much about. So
Jennifer is making she's making a good case for it.
I think we might have to talk about it next week during our we're definitely doing a theory stream next week because that is a great that's a great one. I've never heard that one before.
The T and the Y, and this is also why I keep thinking Aegis Varys, because Varys is a Targaryen name.
Oh yeah, I mean it's close
Varys,
to
Ares, Daenerys. It ends with an is.
Yep. Oh my god, I'm blanking on the king from the first king from House of the Dragon. Viserys. Yeah, I mean it's almost a play on that.
A lot of is.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. So I mean, sellswords do what they want. Hopefully, Ben is. I think what Tyrion is hoping for is Ben is deciding right now if he is going to stay with the Yunkai or move on to Dany's side. We will see. There's just a little bit more I'll read and then we can talk about whatever, maybe some theories. Inkpots was the first to let his smile die. Enough, he said, suddenly solemn. Back to it. Get those horses saddled. I want every man of you ready to ride when Ben gets back here with some proper orders. And put that cook fire out. You can break your fast after the fighting's done if you live that long. His gaze fell on Tyrion. What are you grinning at? You look a little fool in that armor, half-man. Better to look a fool than to be one, the dwarf replied. We are on the losing side. The half-man's right, said Jorah Mormont. We do not want to be fighting for the slavers when Daenerys returns, and she will make no mistake. Strike now and strike hard, and the queen will not forget it. Find her hostages and free them, and I will swear on the honor of my house and home that this was Brown Ben's plan from the beginning. Out on the waters of Slaver Bay, another of the Carthian galleys went up in a sudden whoosh of flame. Tyrion could hear elephants trumpeting to the east. The arms of the six sisters rose and fell, throwing corpses. Shield slammed against shield as two spear walls came together beneath the walls of Meereen. Dragons wheeled overhead, their shadows sweeping across the upturned faces of friend and foe alike. I like how he throws in their shadows. And that Tyrion's the one that notices it. Inkpots threw up his hands. I keep the books. I guard our gold. I draw up our agreements, collect our wages, make certain that we have sufficient coin to buy provisions. I do not decide who we fight or when. That is for Brown Ben to say. Take it up with him when he returns. By the time Plum and his company came galloping back from the camp of the girl general, the white dragon had flown back to its lair above Meereen. The green still prowled, soaring in wide circles above the city and the bay on great green wings. Brown Ben Plum wore plate and mail over boiled leather. The silk cloak flowing from his shoulders was his only concession to vanity. It rippled when he moved, the color changing from pale violet to deep purple. He swung down from his horse and gave her over to a groom, then told Snatch to summon his captains. Tell them to make haste, added Casperio the Cunning. Tyrion was not even a sergeant, but their Sivas games had made him a familiar sight in Brown Ben's tent, and no one tried to stop him when he entered with the rest. Besides Casperio and Inkpots, Olin and Bakakoko were amongst those summoned. The dwarf was surprised to see Sir Jorah Mormont there as well. We are commanded to defend the wicked sister, Brown Ben informed them. The other men exchanged uneasy glances. No one seemed to want to speak until Sir Jorah asked, on whose authority? The girls. Sir Grandfather is making for the hard Harridan, but she's afraid he'll turn towards wicked sister next. The ghost is already down. Marceline's, these are all trebuchets for people. Marceline's freedmen broke the long lances like a rotten stick and dragged it over with chains. The girl figures Selmy means to bring down all the trebuchets. Oh, it said it right there. It's what I'd do in his place, Sir Jorah said. Only I would have done it sooner. Why is the girl still giving orders? Inkpot sounded baffled. Dawn has come and gone. Can she not see the sun? She is behaving as if she were still the supreme commander. If you were her and knew that Pudding Face were about to assume command, you might keep giving orders too, said Mormont. One is no better than the other, Kasparora or whatever insisted. True, said Tyrion, but Malaza has the nicer teats. Crossbows is how you hold the wicked sister, Inkpot said. Scorpions, mangonellas? That's what you needed. You do not use mounted men to defend a fixed position. Does the girl mean for us to dismount? If so, why not use her spears or slingers? Kem stuck his pale blonde head inside the tent. Sorry to disturb you, me lord, but another rider's come. Says he has new orders from the Supreme Commander. Brown Ben glanced at Tyrion, then shrugged. Send him in. In here, Kem asked, confused. Here is where I seem to be, Plum said, with a trace of irritation. If he goes somewhere else, he will not find me. Out went Kem. When he returned, he held the tent flap open for a younkish nobleman in a cloak of yellow silk and matching pantaloons. The man's oily black hair had been tortured, twisted, and lacquered to make it seem as if 100 tiny roses were sprouted from his head. On his breastplate was the scene of such delightful depravity that Tyrion sensed a kindred spirit. The Unsullied are advancing towards the Harpy's daughter, the messenger announced. Bloodbeard and 2 Giscari legions stand against them. Whilst they hold the line, you are to sweep around behind the eunuchs and take them in the rear, sparing none. This by the command of the most noble and puissant Morgar Zozerain, Supreme Commander of the Yunkai. Morgarth? Casper frowned. No Garzuk commands today? Garzuk so Ezar lies slain, cut down by Pentosh treachery. The turncloaks who named himself the Prince of Tatters shall die screaming for this infamy. The noble Morgoth swears. Brown Ben scratched at his beard. The windblown have gone over, and have they? He said in a tone of mild interest. Tyrion chortled. And we've traded Pudding Face for the drunken conqueror. It's a wonder he was able to crawl out of the flagon long enough to give a half-sensible command. The Yunkishman glared at the dwarf. Hold your tongue, you venomous little. His retort withered. This insolent dwarf is an escaped slave, he declared, shocked. He is the property of the noble Yenzin Zogagas of howled memory. You are mistaken. He is my brother-in-law, a free man, and a second son. Yenzin's slave wears golden collars. Brown Ben smiled his most amicable smile. Golden collars with little bells. Do you hear bells? I hear no bells. Collars can be removed. I demand that dwarf be surrendered by punishment at once. That seems harsh, Jorah. What do you think? This, Mormont's longsword was in his hand as Arya turned. Sir Jorah thrusted it through his throat. The point came out the back of the Yonkishman's neck, red and wet. Blood bubbled from his lips and down his chin. The man took 2 wobbly steps and fell across the asoiaf board, scattered the wooden armies everywhere. He twitched a few more times, grasping the blade of Mormont's sword with one hand as the other clawed feebly at the overturned table. Only then did the Yonkishman seem to realize he was dead. He lay face down on the carpet in a well.
You know what?
Yeah.
When he realized he was dead, makes you wonder what tipped him off.
He laid face down on the carpet in a welter of red blood and oily black roses. Sir Jorah wrenched his sword free of the dead man's neck. Blood ran down his fullers. The white asoiaf dragon ended up at Tyrion's feet. I always thought that was interesting. The white one's flying above. The white dragon.
Also, a hint at the beginning when Tyrion was seeing the dawn. That hints
Yes.
that he's going to be the general.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's so. I forget what the white one's name is. What's up, April? No worry about your lateness. Oh, Bagels Met is here. That sentence sounded inappropriate. Take him in the rear. You would think. The white asoiaf.
If it sounded inappropriate, why the heck did you repeat it, sir?
Because that's Bagels for you. All right, I just got these 2, and then we're done with this. The white asoiaf dragon ended up at Tyrion's feet. He scooped it off the carpet and wiped it on his sleeve. But some of the Yunkish blood had collected in the fine grooves of the carving, so the pale wood seemed veined with red. All hail our beloved, kind of like a weirwood tree. All hail our beloved Queen Daenerys. Be she alive or be she dead. He tossed the bloody dragon in the air and caught it, grinned. We have always been the Queen's men, announced Brown Ben Plum. Rejoining the Yunkai was just a plot. And what a clever ploy it was. Tyrion gave the dead man a shove with his boot. If that breastplate fits, I want it. So you get a lot right here. I mean,
yeah.
First of all, the white dragon at Tyrion's feet. When he picks it up and cleans it off, the grooves make it seem like veined with red, like a weirwood tree. And then he says, all hail our beloved Queen Daenerys. Be she alive or be she dead. Like a firelight, maybe?
Veined with red, it also could hint that he has Targaryen blood in him.
Yes, that is true. And be she alive or be she dead fits in right with your she's a fire white, for the simple fact that it doesn't matter. We are hailing her even if she's a dead walking. Yeah,
exactly. And that one I feel really strongly about, that she actually died on that pyre and was resurrected at the same time, because Martin said it was a one-time thing, that she was because Targaryens are resistant to heat. They're not immune.
Okay. Yeah.
And because he keeps telling us about Targaryens that get burned to death.
Yeah.
I mean, it even happens to Viserys, Daenerys' brother.
It even happens to Dany when after she flies off on the dragon pit, her hands are burned.
Yeah. So there's no way she should have survived in that pyre.
Nope. Even it was blood magic.
Yeah,
and
but
people try to play that like she lived. No, the blood magic brought her back.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe she was the sacrifice, not the witch lady.
Mm-hmm.
She was the blood that paid for the other stuff.
Right, because
and
3 dragon eggs.
And it didn't pay for Drogo.
Well, 3 dragon eggs. Drogo, her baby, and Mary Mazdul, who paid for her life.
Well, Drogo was already dead.
Right. So, yeah, and the baby too. So, I mean, even though they were burned in the fire with Mary Mazdul, there was only one of her. So, did the blood magic actually only bring Danny back, and the fire just brought the eggs to bear? You know what I
and
mean? Like
the eggs were stoned, so raising the dragons
the
from the
dragons
stone.
from stone. Yeah.
Yeah, and interestingly, enough, I did some research. Azor Ahai,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Azor is a biblical character that has the blood of David.
Okay.
He's one of Jesus's forefathers, actually. So it could be that king's blood, which we know is Valyrian blood,
Mm-hmm.
is a symbolism of the blood of David,
Okay. Like
who's the
godly
biggest
blood.
king. Yeah, biggest king in the Bible. But Azor, uh, being that, Ahai is a name for mother.
Oh.
So if Jon Snow is from the Azor bloodline, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has the king, the blood of, and they both have really, but it's the combination.
Yes. It's the
John
song of
and Daenerys.
fire and ice.
Yeah.
Or ice and
So
fire.
yeah, and Azor Ahai is Daenerys and John,
Mm-hmm.
ice and
That's
fire
crazy.
together. It's just and
I
interestingly enough, the fate of the seven came from the same area as the Azor Ahai story,
mm-hmm.
and the symbol of the seven looks like a Star of David.
Yes, it's not a pentagram, right? It's wait a minute, I
Yeah,
think I have it. Hold on one second.
yeah. So it looks to me that this story is about the end of the world
Mm-hmm.
in a way,
Mm-hmm.
and the Westeros bit of the story is using the Ragnarok mythology
Yes.
of the end of the world.
But you're
Well, the
thinking
Targaryen
Esau's.
bit is the
Okay.
biblical,
Oh man.
because according to the Bible, it's going to end in fire.
Yeah.
According to Ragnarok, it's going to end in
And
ice.
then ice. Oh my god, dude. That is
Yeah.
freaking brilliant.
And then you have the three heads of the beast, right? In
Mm-hmm.
Revelation, that's supposed to show up um, uh, during the Antichrist thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go by the timeline, right? Jesus dies.
Yep.
Then the Antichrist shows up later.
Yep.
And then Jesus returns.
Correct.
Rhaegar was Jesus. He's dead.
Yes.
We're now in the Antichrist period.
Right.
And the three heads of the beast, right? One is supposed to be the scarlet beast.
So it's Drogo.
Which no,
Drogon. Oh.
no, Melisandre.
Oh, Melisandre. Yeah.
Yeah, the
What am I
beasts
thinking?
are basically preaching
The
Satan
fire
stuff
god.
and
Yeah.
and convincing people to. The other one was a beast with the lambs. It was called the beast of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
and it took on the appearance of a lamb or whatever it was. And that one's supposed to mark people on the wrists and forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the High Sparrow dresses in lamb's wool all the time, walks barefoot, and he's marking people with the faith symbol, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
And
People have stuff on their forehead and stuff too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the third one is the beast from the sea, which I think
And that's
might be Euron.
yeah, I would think so. And he's trying to bring a blood sacrifice, Kraken,
Yeah.
most likely.
Yeah,
So-
so it was very interesting that so when Jesus returns, second coming, he's supposed to be more of a warrior,
Mm-hmm.
and the unfaithful and all that, the demons are going to get destroyed by fire from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be dragons.
Yeah.
They can spray fire from the sky.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I'm thinking Jon Snow is the second coming.
So could it be revelations that we're going to be seeing in the last two books? right, so- Like
But it kind of fits, though, doesn't it?
it does. It does. I like that. I also wanted to ask you about what's up here from April. April, you weren't here last week. April has some great ideas. April is saying that if you look at the description of inside the Brown Ben Plum's tent, it is the same description of the tent Duncan Egg used. I don't. The one underleaf uses even the Sivas game she has like small keyboard, so it's sometimes hard to hear. If you could take your time, April, and rewrite how it's
I
how
think
you
it
know.
uses even the Sivas game isn't it. I think that's what she's trying to say.
Yeah, or is in it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So something about the statue. I think it is a woman. It's is vein marbled, like used to have blood pumping through it. I don't know what part that is. And then Grant says if Dany sacrificed herself, it would make sense as she has to lose something to gain something. Right.
Yeah. But
And that,
I think she doesn't know she
Mhm.
sacrificed herself.
Yeah, you're right. And don't forget, like we've talked about before,
Yeah.
when
Thanks.
somebody is revived by the Lord whatever his name is, the fire god. Anyways,
Relore.
R'hllor, thank you. Um, they are more focused on the last thing that happened. They were really like thinking about, like what you know. Lady Stoneheart comes back wanting to kill anybody who had anything to do with the Red Wedding. Um, Derek Dondarrion, Ned told him, to go out and defend that area and take out the mountain, and that's all he wants to do. So it's like Dany wanted to be strong and be the queen, and when she comes out, that's what she wants.
What do you think is going to happen with Jon Snow? Is it going to be about Ramsay, or is it going to be about the White Walkers?
I think it's going to be about Ramsay. I think he's going to probably kill anybody who was part of his stabbing. I don't think he's
Yeah.
going to forgive, and he is going to be like, I died, I am back, my vow is done, and he is going to find Ramsay.
Yeah. He might think it's Ramsay who sent the letter because that's pretty much the last thing he read and stuff before the stabbing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which means
Oh.
Stannis is probably losing at Winterfell.
Yeah. Look at this one. I like this one. Azor Ahai is more of Zoroastrianism, almost the same spelling. So that's like the first monolithic religion we know of. That's interesting. The angry side of their yin tang, basically in a nutshell. Yin yang. Yeah, Dany and Jon are this different. They are the yin and the yang. They stand in 7 around the star. What does it look like? Let's look at it one more time. It's right here. So what do they look like to you? I'm not reading ahead to see what April says.
Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah. Yeah. The stranger though, like, okay, so the stranger's here, on the bottom kind of right with 2 bony arms. And then that's the father on the other side holding a scale. And then what must be some type of, I don't know what he's holding. Oh,
It's a sickle.
It's a sickle.
Well, no, it's a stick, but it's a moon. Isn't it?
I thought that too, but the curve of it is not
Yeah.
the same
Yeah,
as the
it's
moon.
attached. It's a sickle.
Yeah, it's a sickle. I never noticed that before. And then you got the warrior holding a sword on the table. The maiden holding flowers. The crone holding, I think, a lantern. The warrior holding Mjolnir. And then the mother holding a child. But what do they look like? I don't know, April. What do they look like? I wonder what April's thinking. Yeah. April says Revelations a lot. The Arya the Black Goat is from Revelations. Yes, I thought about that too. And Liam says Antichrist is a false prophet.
Yeah.
Right. Like the sparrow.
Yeah, and
But I
John
don't think the
is
sparrow is the. I think John might be the Antichrist.
well.
Sorry,
Here's
let
the
me take
thing:
this down.
Lightbringer means Lucifer.
Right.
John is the Knight Commander number 998, but they removed
He-
Bloodraven, so he's number
right.
999, which is
No, no, yeah.
666 in reverse.
Did they remove Bloodraven, or was it only the 13th Lord Commander,
No,
the Knights
Bloodraven
King?
was he was stricken from the
And so was
from
the 13th, so he's really the 1000th. Don't forget the 13th Lord Commander was stricken. I didn't think
oh,
Bloodraven was
here's
stricken from the
well the third
record.
one. They don't know if he was the Lord Commander.
No, yeah, he was. The Knights King was the Lord's Commander. I don't think they took Bloodraven down because he
No, oh yeah,
disappeared. He just
yeah,
disappeared.
yeah. He
So he
just
didn't do
disappeared. He
anything
wasn't
evil.
stricken. I'm
So you're right.
mixing them together.
Still 99.
Yeah,
999. 666.
and the rivers will run red with blood. That would be the Riverlands.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the tent one is crazy. The painting of it and the game pieces and the prop inside that Tyrion saw in the chapter is all in the tent. That is crazy. The statue in the veil with Sansa and the
Table.
table mirrors for the Khal and the table in it he had to blue vein marble. And R'hllor reminds me of when Jaqen says to Arya, "Is it war? Red war?" Man, he got sidetracked. John was going one direction and then he gets sidetracked and stabbed. Yep. I'm trying to find the 7. Oh, the 7 look almost like a coven. That's true. Is it 7 or 13? That's interesting. 7 or 13. It looks positively insane and scary as hell. And they have the mother, maiden, and crone. That is a witch symbol, totally somehow. Some kind of witchcraft happening there, like a mix of something. Kind of, so in a way, it does kind of look like a pentagram. Like the 7 kind of make, not the star, but the 7 make a pentagram.
And Martin could be using a lot of the house sigils
Mm-hmm.
as stand-ins for a lot of the monsters in mythology and
Yep.
the creatures, because there's mentions of lions, and
Yep.
krakens.
Krakens. Yep.
Yeah,
Massive bears, dire
definitely,
wolves.
definitely wolves in Norse mythology.
Yep. Dragons. And there is dragons in the Bible. So, I mean, and Leviathan, which is kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird that so many cultures that seems to have had no contact with each other
Mhm.
all have dragon mythology.
Right. Right. I know. I'm
That
with
is
you on
weird. I'm thinking they did have contact with each other.
Yeah.
It's just been lost in time.
It has to be. Well, that's what my Saturday show is all about. That there's too much. I mean, there's 114 that we know of at this moment, different flood myths from all around the world. And they all pretty much have the same. The flood happens to kill pretty much the wicked, but someone comes ahead of time to warn them, and some of them are saved. And then they rebuild civilization with the help of some higher beings. It's just tales of. I think a lot of mythology, no matter how blown out and crazy it might seem, is based on some reality.
Yeah.
Like there was a Odin, there was a Thor. They might not have been gods of thunder and stuff, but they might have had some advanced knowledge of using sound and electricity, and you know what I mean. It's just through time, it's turned into the mythology that we hear today.
And the Song of Ice and Fire that's harmony. That's ice and fire together.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
not
song
opposed.
is harmony, right?
And the Ragnarok mythology is basically about ice and fire
Hmm.
destroying the world.
Oh,
So
fire
that,
too?
yeah, there's
Because
fire
isn't what's
giants.
his name? Yeah, that guy ends the world with his fiery sword, right?
Yeah, Surtur the
Or no?
Black.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
ends
so it's
Asgard.
fire and it's frost and fire giants attacking Asgard and the world
Hmm.
in unison.
That's dope. I do
Yeah,
like this. I never heard this one. Old English terms like heir of the body for Magor to say that he did have kids, just none he recognized. Because that they do talk. He keeps saying he needs an heir of the body. So who's to say there aren't Magor's line of bastards out there? I always wonder, is Aegon a Blackfire? Is he actually Targaryen? Just a
yeah,
different bastard line. Um, a Valerian baby that, they all say that, the Targaryens are the only ones, Targaryens, um, and the other two families in Westeros are the only Valerians that lived, but there are a lot of people in Volantis and things like that were, you know, city states of Valeria that have
yeah,
purple eyes and platinum,
yeah.
silver and
Used to
hair.
be outposts and then became
Yep.
cities and
Yep.
stuff like that. Though, when they find ruins and cities built on ruins and stuff, that
Hmm.
adds so much to a fantasy series
Oh yeah.
because it actually adds a lot of history just from being there.
Right. And mystery too. It's history
Yeah,
and mystery.
uh,
Like the oily
Tolkien
black
used to
stone and stuff like that.
Tolkien did that a lot too. When
Weathertop.
yeah, Weathertop is not just Weathertop; it's an old watchtower
Yeah. The
with a long
statues
history.
when they're going down the river, like
Yeah.
I mean, just it's amazing
Oh,
because I love how.
seriously,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
read the Wheel of Time. It's full of shit like that.
I have to, because I love
It's
the idea that this ancient civilization was there, and no one in the present knows anything of it. Like even that Sahara, um, it's like a magical world where there's half elves, humans, and like it's
Shannara.
yeah, so whatever that one is, it's like
Yeah.
it's an
Well,
old Earth
it's our
or
world.
new. Yeah, it's our world. Just a long time passed after something crazy happened.
Yeah. The Wheel of Time, though. The Forsaken in it, the
Hmm.
Dark One's lieutenants. They're from the Age of Wonders, I think,
Hmm.
which is basically kind of like our world during Blade Runner,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what it used to be when they were alive. So when they are coming back out from the place they were trapped in,
right.
they've been in there for a long time,
Hmm.
and one of them used to be a mad scientist, and he can't do shit because everything's gone. All the
Right.
technology used, it's not there. So
Which one is this?
they, one of the Forsaken ones
Oh, okay,
in the Wheel of Time.
okay.
Yeah.
I got to
So
read it. I've
you
been
have to.
stupid not to. Um, I do see. I see where you're coming from, Brian. That's what George wants us to think because he's Stark, the pact of ice and fire. He is the pact of ice and fire. I don't think he's the song of ice and fire. I think that him and Danny will be the song of ice and fire or something like that. But he wants us to think John is the song. But I think he's just a culmination of the pact that was done centuries before.
And that would fit actually better with Dorne
Hmm.
than with Targaryens.
Right.
Because the Dornish blood is from that uh, the Empire of the Dawn. Is that
What's
it?
that?
One of the houses in Dorne
No,
is direct.
they're direct descendants in Dorne. They're direct descendants of what's Nymeria and her people, right? The Ronar.
No, but one of the houses, which is, I think it's Dane.
Is it Dane?
Yeah,
They're
House
first men.
Dane. No, they're actually also descendants of
The
one of
Great
those.
Empire of the Dawn. Of Dawn.
Oh,
I mean, it makes
yeah,
sense, right?
yeah,
Um,
because it fits way
it
better
does.
if Ned and Ashara Dane.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
That actually
Uh,
starts fitting way better with John story wise.
though I think that the Valerians also had the Great Empire of the Blood in their veins too. Because when Dany I don't know if it's a dream or one of the visions she's given, but she sees people with different colored eyes. Um, I want to find that because I want to say it correctly. Um,
Yeah, because House Dane is almost more special than Targaryens
mhm.
in a way.
Oh, they are something like a Valerian. I definitely believe that. I mean, they
Yeah,
have like the kind of the hair color or the eye color. I mean, Ashara Dane, I believe, had dark hair, but she had like violet or purple eyes, right?
yeah.
Um,
John is definitely half Stark though, due to the warging,
hmm He has to be, yeah.
and that's probably why he's not as good as Bran because he's just half.
Right. All right, let's see. Dreams and prophecies. Let me just see what the House of the Undying showed her. I don't want it explained. I just want to read it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
April's on it as well.
Oh yeah.
House Dane, and we're almost deliberately being given very little
hmm
information about them.
Oh yeah. No, I mean yeah, absolutely. We hear about them following a star that fell, a meteorite, and making dawn out of that. But that could also just be a myth. It could
Yeah,
be a sword from ancient times. Um, Fiery skin, corpse, blue flower. Hold on, I'll just share this. Also, the Undying stuff here. I don't know if I have to. No, it's 200, so that's good enough. I don't know if it's from the House of the Undying, but there's a part where she sees these different people with different colored eyes. I was pretty definite it was Dany. Um, but maybe it's a dream she has. But the different colored eyes all line up with the different emperors of the Great Empire of the Dawn. So
yeah,
they're all called after like amethysts and like colors of jewels, or they're named after jewels, and all those colors Dany sees in one of her dreams or visions in people's eyes. So I wonder if that links back to her bloodline, or if she's seeing something of somebody else's bloodline that links back to them. I don't know. Let's see what else we got here.
yeah. Because I'm thinking that um, the Lyanna and Rhaegar thing
Mm-hmm.
is too fucking obvious,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And the TV show combined John with Aegon.
Mm-hmm.
That's very
Oh yeah.
obvious
Oh yeah. Very obvious.
because uh, in the TV show, that would mean that Lyanna Stark named John Aegon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though Rhaegar's kid, who was also named Rhaegar, died like shortly before John was named,
Right.
which is just stupid.
Right.
She wouldn't name her kid after
Well,
the
she wouldn't
guy's
have
reason.
known that, right? She wouldn't have known that he died. I don't think she would have, because
Ned would know, and he went there.
yeah, but I mean, she wouldn't have named him Aegon, no matter if he was alive or dead. I mean,
Well,
why would you have two
she
sons?
would have gotten some ravens or something because she knew Rhaegar was dead, and that happened afterwards.
Yeah, true. I I just always assumed she named him Jaehaerys.
Yeah. So in the books, um, I think it's the real Aegon because Varys did say that
I do
Aegon's
too.
mom was devastated because her babe died. He didn't say
Mm-hmm.
babes.
Right, babe.
Yeah.
And that's something I also think that everyone that's leaning to it being Illyrio's wife hit their child because she could have been a Blackfire. I think that's a red herring.
Yeah, it could be.
Mm-hmm.
But the timeline lines up perfectly with Ned and Ashara.
Right.
I've seen several channels now that have done the timeline
Oh yeah.
and the travel time and all,
Yeah.
and it doesn't fit with Ned and anyone else. The one that fits the best is Ned and Ashara Dane.
Right. Yep. And Ashara Dane went somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't think she killed herself.
And it actually proves that Ned was honorable because he had fathered John before he had to marry Catelyn.
Yep.
Because that was forced on him.
Yeah. He says that Nedrick Dane, who Arya meets in book 5, I believe, in Dance with Dragons, he let it slide that John was already there. I mean, John was his milk brother. Now, some people take that as the woman that came back with Ned from the Tower of Joy to Starfall, just when he got there, shared with little Nedrick Dane, but I don't know. It doesn't all add up.
Yeah. And like April says further down, ask yourself why Ned went to Starfall and then to Lady Dustin, right? Because there's no reason why you should go to Starfall,
Right?
At all.
Right. No, just to bring back a sword. He's that honorable when the world is everything is crazy around them. His sister's dead.
He could have returned that sword later and still been honorable.
Yeah. I mean, some people say, well, he would have had to go on all the way back from, it was closer for him to go to Starfall from there than go all the way north and then come back. But even the woman in the north, Lady Dustin, she makes us she shoves it down our throat that he did not return any of his compadres, the people that went with them, their bones, their horses. I think maybe the horse, but none of their bones. Buried them all there. Like, what really happened at the Tower of Joy? I still don't believe we know. We have our ideas, but
because it doesn't mention that a fight happened there at all.
Yeah, and then I didn't even read you put the Lady Dustin thing. That's great. And then Benjen leaves. So Benjen leaves, and they never really talk again. I mean, you pointed it out too at the feast where Benjen's at the beginning of Game of Thrones. Ned and him don't seem to converse at all.
No, they absolutely don't. And they converse about John with the Maester being the middleman. Because Benjen says, I'm going to ask the Maester and have him talk to your dad or talk to Ned.
Maester Lewin, yeah.
Yeah. So that scene in the show where Ned
Mm-hmm.
and
That doesn't
Benjen
look
talk,
right. Yeah.
that's not in the books at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like, they want us to think him and Benjen might have fought because Benjen knew about Rhaegar and Lyanna and Ned didn't. And when he got back, he was pissed that he didn't know about this or wasn't, sent word the minute they fled, from Winterfell. But it could just be all that, look, this is the conspiracy we got, and you need to be somewhere else. We can't communicate about any of this anymore. Because Benjen had to know that John was something more.
Oh, Benjen knows what John is and what he isn't.
Yeah.
And remember when he said that when John wants to take the black and blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah, and he doesn't want to father a child and all that, and Benjen
Yep.
says, "Well, you might think otherwise if you knew what you were giving up."
Yep.
That there's a big fat hint.
Yep. I mean, yeah, I think Benjen might be like, but Benjen also pokes at him. Like,
Benjen doesn't seem to like John.
he treats him like shit like he
Yeah.
like belittles him till he decides to join the black.
Yeah,
You know,
and once
making
they
him-
get to Castle Black, Benjen's kind of cold with him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those weird ones.
It's like he did what he had to do.
Mm-hmm.
He is not friendly to John.
No, not at all. Where are Danny's dreams? Danny visions of Daenerys Targaryen. Maybe that. Nope, that's not it. Oh, maybe. Maybe I'm confusing her with somebody else, but I swear it was her who saw the people's eyes. We'll end it in a minute or two. I just kind of want to look to see. Dragon.
It could have been
dreams, maybe?
that weird witch lady too.
Yeah, Karth
the one
or
that-
Quaith.
No, the one Arya meets.
Oh
Is it Jenny of Oldstone?
no, it's the ghost of Highheart.
Yeah, yeah.
She does see all
'cause
different
she,
colors in her eyes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she foreshadowed Lady Stoneheart.
Yes, she did. Oh man, you're right. Let's see, Danny. Here we go.
Oh, Robert Jordan has like visions and shit like that in the Wheel of Time books too. We're gonna have a
I
field
love
day.
that. I love stuff like that. Yeah, I'll have to look at this for next week because I know it's somewhere. I know it's.
Well, that could be a stream of itself, couldn't it? Going through all the visions and dreams.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. But we're gonna wrap it up because we're almost at the
See what's
2 hour mark.
confirmed or not. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be that he resents keeping the secret of John being a Targaryen, but we also like to look a little closer into it. And if you've ever checked out the channel, Order of the Green Hand, they have
Here's the
some
thing,
great.
though.
Yeah,
Benjen and Lyanna were close, right?
mm-hmm. Oh, very, yeah.
If John is Lyanna's son, he wouldn't treat him like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you would think he would want to take care of him.
Yeah.
I don't know if there has to be a Stark on the wall. I don't know if there has always been a Stark bastard or something like that.
Only at Winterfell.
We only know at Winterfell. But April says, Jen, yes. They even say it like kind of a lot in John and Sam's chapter without literally saying it directly. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll look into some of this stuff for next week. We'll talk in the chat or in our DM and figure out exactly what we'll go over. But I really had fun doing this. But the sample chapters are the sample chapters. The only other one I really want to do is the Forsaken, but we could do that a couple weeks from now just because it's such a great chapter. But next week we'll do some theories. We'll have some good times with that. Thank you to everybody who came by. Stig, thank you so much for hanging.
It's fun, and I was awake, so.
That is a good question, Sonny. Why did he join? It's almost like he had to.
I don't think he did it by choice. I think Ned made him.
Yeah, because as the second brother to Ned, it'd be smarter for him to have his own holdfast. Have his own piece of land that if Ned did, not bother.
Ned punished him. He sentenced him to the wall, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Benjen was a virgin, grumpy. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Got anything going on?
You know what?
Yeah.
John is Lyanna and Benjen's son.
Oh, God, that'd be fucked up. Just like a Lannister.
That's why he hates him.
That is awesome. Check out Order of the Green Hand guys this week. They have a great, Ashara and Ned equals, I think, John. But there's another one that equals Danny. There's some good stuff they have. Those guys have some great stuff. I'm going to watch some of their stuff again for the 90th time tonight. But thank you, everybody, for being here. We had a good time, but it is time to go. So before we do that, another little message for everybody.
Where's the best place for content on the world of Ice and Fire?
Right over there. See where I am pointing with my dagger? I just found
Sporking News Podcast with me, Sporking. Make sure you like and subscribe.
I love that, Mad.
I have a stream tomorrow, though.
Oh, yeah, where?
Jade Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing the weird news.
Oh.
We're basically talking about weird and funny stories that's happened in the last month.
Dude, I love this.
Some kind of supernatural weird things sometimes, and dumb criminals and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's awesome. Also, closer to how. Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going.
And next week we're doing our top favorite 1992 movies.
Nice.
So that's favorites,
92.
not necessarily the best.
Right. With you on that, brother. All right, everybody. Make sure you check out Jade Shadow. Great channel. Thank you, Stig, for being here. Everybody, have a great night. See you later.
In yonder realm, where frost and flame do meet, the Spork news, the tale so boldly greet. Sir Grant Gregory, with valor in his quest, in lands where dragons and dark knocks do